Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this snowy morning in upstate New York. And yes, we want to thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship. And the trip we're making this coming Wednesday down to Gulfstream to cover the Fountain of Youth will be on the air next week and hopefully soaking up some warm weather because, again, it's been a little chilly and snowy up here in upstate New York this winter, so looking forward to, rather than living vicariously, which we do watching the Florida treks, we will be down there. And mark on your calendar, live next Friday morning at 8:30. We'll kick things off live from the paddock set at Gulfstream. And on Saturday, we'll kick things off at 8 o'clock. So mark that on your calendar, live from Gulfstream next week, covering the Fountain of Youth and a very nice card as well on Saturday. So should be a lot of fun. Down at Gulfstream next week. This week, let me remind you that there is a Fan Appreciation Day today at the Hudson branch. If you're a patron down in that direction, we'd love to have you stop by so we can say thank you to you. Food, vouchers, PPs, there's always a contest. That's always a lot of fun as well. So keep that in mind for this afternoon. Fan Appreciation Day, Hudson branch. There's also the Syndicate. The Syndicate team has been selected, and the Syndicate play, we'll post that a little bit later today. It's going to be a late pick 5 at Gulfstream. Good luck to everybody on the Syndicate team today. All right, top of the hour here. We'll jump in as we're a better part of 2 months into the season, and we're a few weeks into the NTRA polls. NTRA leading into the Triple Crown, they do 2 polls. They do a 3-year-old poll and an overall thoroughbred poll. After the Triple Crown, it's just a thoroughbred poll. But at this point, we have the 2 polls, and they've been doing them for a few weeks now. So I thought we'd kind of set the table as we're here again about 2 months into the year and take a look at where we are with the 3-year-olds and the other divisions as well. And one of the voters in those NTRA polls is our friend Tim Wilkin. So I thought we'd get Tim on, talk a little bit about his votes and the overall thoughts on the polls. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. I heard you talking about going to Florida. You might not come back.
Well, it'll be a while anyway. I'll check the temperature before I come back, but I do have a couple extra days where I'm definitely going to be on the beach. There's no question about that because it has been a rough winter up here. And I said the last couple of weeks, you know, that Equibase stats come out the end of every month, but then typically there's a quarterly look as well. And when that first quarter for North American racing comes out this year, at the end of March, the handle numbers are definitely going to be affected because particularly that crazy big storm that went from Texas to upstate New York and covered a lot of tracks in between, a lot of the racetracks in between. There were cancellations. And a lot of tracks have tried to substitute days. But the fact of the matter is you lose a Saturday and you substitute in a Wednesday, you're not going to get the same kind of handle. So when the handles numbers come out at the end of March, I think there will definitely be an effect caused by this winter.
Yeah, and we got another big storm potentially that's rolling up the coast this week at the end of this weekend. So, you know, it's the never-ending winter. But you know, I've told people this, I've told you this, that you know it is winter, and we've been in the Northeast been spared pretty much the last couple of years. This is how it used to be. Yeah, and but that doesn't mean you got to like it.
Yeah, exactly. I like the way you put that because it is. You know, we all talk about when I was a kid the snow banks were that high, and the last couple of winters. And I thought that just the other day. I looked out on my lawn and there was snow on it, and I thought the last couple of winters there was probably more no snow than snow on the lawn, but not this year. So again, a few more weeks. Few more weeks left to go.
We've had a snowpack for it seems like months.
Yeah.
But
keep our fingers crossed.
We can't bitch too much.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Can't complain too much.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in. And again, we're better part of a couple of months into the season, but the poll starts a little bit into the year. What have you done? What about 2 or 3 polls so far?
And I think there's more than that. I think it might be 4.
Okay.
But, and again, polls are, it's a lot of people don't even think about polls, that they're not important. I mean, they're a good conversation starter.
Exactly.
But in the grand scheme of things, they don't mean anything.
And it gives you horses to kind of keep your eyes on during the year and root for or root against completely. And we're going to take a look. I have some graphics here that show the actual NTRA poll. And again, there's I think about 36 voters. And again, you're one of them. So look at the actual
I think it was
poll.
33 this week, I think there was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just behind the scenes, what you guys have to submit on Mondays?
We have to submit by Monday at 12:30. That's what it usually is, unless there's a holiday card on a Monday. Then it's like Tuesday. But they send us the information. I mean, we've already got the notice already for this week. They usually send it out on Friday. But you wait till the stakes races are over. And, it's pretty light this week. But it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
A horse wins, they get in, they move up. A horse loses, they move down.
Yeah.
Or move out. So, it's more of a popularity contest than anything else. But it does give you some people a gauge or a barometer to look to see where some people think that the horses in each division where they stand.
Yeah, no question about it. And the 3-year-old poll, again, leading into the Triple Crown, gives people a good idea of horses that have performed recently very well. And there's some horses on the list that we're looking forward to after a big 2-year-old season on comebacks. And we'll talk about some of those. And again, I have a graphic that has on the left side of the screen, there is the actual NTRA poll, the number of starts a horse has had this year, their total number of points. In parentheses, the first place votes. And then that last column is where they were last week. And then over on the right are your votes. And as we see, Paladin on top. I pulled up a replay of the Risen Star from last week. And the list, both lists contain some horses coming out of that race. And I showed on our Derby show yesterday, last week's Risen Star. And I kind of agree. Paladin on the comeback after a good 2-year-old season last year. It was a good comeback with a solid number, gets out of the Risen Star with a 93 buyer for the seasonal debut. So he deserves the attention. But Chip Honcho, I thought, ran really well. You have Chip Honcho on your list. Chip Honcho on the overall poll, people see he didn't make the top 10, but he was number 11 on the overall poll. You had Golden Tempo down on your list as well. That one, the Cherie DeVaux runner, is going to get up to be third, well-beaten third, but always up against it coming from the clouds. And overall, the poll had Golden Tempo in the 8th spot. So again, coming out of the Risen Star, the top 3 finishers all got a little bit of attention. Talk about that result from last weekend.
The thing about Paladin, it's eerily similar to a couple other Chad Brown horses that have gone the exact same route that Paladin is on. I mean, last year, and in 2024, Sierra Leone, he broke his maiden at Belmont, then was second in the Remsen, won the Risen Star, then he won the Bluegrass, and then he was second in the Derby. In 2022, Zandon broke his maiden at Belmont, second in the Remsen, third in the Risen Star, won the Bluegrass, and then third in the Derby. Now here you got Paladin, who broke his maiden with a win at Belmont, won the Remsen, now has won the Risen Star. He's won all 3. And now he's on the same path. He's going to most likely head to the Bluegrass. And, it's kind of eerie that Chad he has this rotation down to a science, and it's worked great for him. I mean, Paladin, is it crazy to think that Paladin could end up being better than Sierra Leone, who was, he was within a lip of winning the Derby that year. Paladin is right now is a deserving favorite in the top in this poll, and he's also got the most points in the Derby points race with 60. I mean, he's probably he's easily in the Derby field now, and things are going to change, Seth, as we know, as we get into the 50-point races and then the 100-point races. There's going to be a lot of movement in the standings. But for right now, Paladin is at the top of the heap, and he deserves to be there. And he could very well be one of the top three heading into Louisville.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, Chip Honcho with a good second. Paladin had to work to get by him. Now, it was the seasonal debut for Paladin. Chip Honcho was coming out of a little bit of a disappointment in the comp, ran a decent fourth, close-up fourth, but had won the gun runner before that. So it was a little bit disappointing in the comp, but that was a nice rebound because, as I say, Paladin had to work to get by that one. You have Chip Honcho in your top 10. As I say, the overall list sitting number 11, just beyond Napoleon Solo. As far as the overall vote, but I thought a very good effort from Chip Honcho, who again trained by Steve Asmussen.
Well, what a good effort! And when you open eyes with an effort like that, you're gonna, in my eyes, you deserve a spot in the poll.
Yeah.
And it's horse racing, Seth, has always been a game of what have you done for me lately, and he did something that was pretty good. He only did a half length, right? I mean, he's got some upside, and I think that that was his fifth career start. He's getting a foundation. He's a horse that could really improve as we go deeper into the prep season. But he's got a little bit of work to do to catch up to Paladin. But he might be on his way.
And I'm going to pull up a replay here, going back to the Sam Davis. Couple of weeks ago down at Gulfstream Park, and we're going to watch Renegade run. Renegade on the overall poll was sitting at number 3, and looking at some of the other polls, he took some action as well. I was surprised you had Renegade top 10, but you had him down at number 9. Talk a little bit about Renegade coming out of the Sam Davis and your placement of him on the poll.
Well, everyone that's been following horse racing this year got the big gut punch when Todd Pletcher lost Ted Naufy, who would have been, head and shoulders above everyone else in this poll. But, he's off the Derby trail. And, the thing with, Todd didn't even flinch. He not only reloaded, he's reloaded big time. Besides Renegade, he's also got Nearly, who, won the Holy Bull. He's got 2 horses right now that are bona fide Derby contenders, and Renegade is one of them. He was second to Paladin in the Remsen last year, and then he comes in, wins the Sam F. Davis by open lace, 3 3.75 lengths, I think it was.
Yeah.
He's a horse that Todd has gone the Tampa route before, and keep your eye on him. I'm assuming he's going to come back in the Tampa Bay Derby, and he does well there. Obviously, he's going. He'll be in the starting gate at Churchill Downs, and you always dismiss a Todd Pletcher runner at your own risk.
You mentioned Nearly. I also had a replay of that Holy Bull, and Renegade wins the Sam Davis with a 92 buyer. Nearly scores in the Holy Bull a 98 buyer. You have Nearly number 2 on your list. As I say, Todd, as you just said, Todd Pletcher, Ted Naufy goes to the sidelines, but he's not crying with the horses he has. And off of this win in the Holy Bull, Nearly number 2 on the overall list and number 2 on your list as well. And the Derby Future Pool, I mean, you could say it was a poll amongst the voters. The Derby Future Pool last week had these 2 among the individual entrants. Paladin was the shortest price and Nearly was the second price. So these are the 2 that are certainly taking, and deservedly so, plenty of attention right now.
Those Derby pools, I stay away from them. I think it's sucker money. I've never ever bet a future pool.
I always say you got to get at least 20 to 1 on your horse.
Even though Jack Knowlton would say you should have bet funny side when he got him at 91 to 1 back in the day. I mean, those are different. But But if you have a horse that you really, really, really like, it pays, but to put money on it. But you're right. You got to have, 20 to 1 is almost like you're betting a 3 to 5 shot. You got to get paid. And 20 to 1 is nothing to sneeze at, but you got to get at least 20 to 1. I agree.
Yeah, because the horse doesn't just have to win the Kentucky Derby. It's February. They got to get to the Kentucky Derby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how many of these horses that you're betting in these pools never even get there?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a fair list.
And speaking of not getting there, as I mentioned earlier, the poll includes some horses who have done well so far early in the year, early on this Triple Crown trail. But there are some others we're looking forward to. One of the ones I'm looking forward to, and it looks like he may be in the Fountain of Youth, is Napoleon Solo. That horse I think is very interesting, coming out of the campaign last year in the Champagne win. But a couple other horses that have been working steadily but haven't started yet. You have them 3 and 4 on your list. The Bob Baffert runners, Brant and Litmus Test. Brant coming out of the 3rd in the Breeders' Cup. Litmus Test coming out of Los Alamitos Futurity. We're going to take a look at that. Litmus Test getting it done there. As I say, they're 3 and 4 on your list. A couple of Bob Baffert runners haven't started yet. When you get to this point, you're always leery, except they are working steadily. Talk about the 2 Baffert runners you have at 3 and 4.
Well, until Paladin won his race, I had Brant as my number 1. You're going by reputation, something like that. He's he was 3rd in the juvenile last year, and he's looking at either the Rebel or the San Felipe, probably the Rebel, because I think Litmus Test, who was originally going to run in the Southwest. No, they said he was going to run in the Southwest, but Bob Baffert said he was never going to run in that. He was going to wait for the San Felipe. And if that's the case, I can't imagine he's going to run Litmus Test and Brant against each other. Excuse me, but I would think then that if Litmus Test stays home, Brant will hit the road. And Brant, he's been advertised as one of the ones that Baffert always says that. Baffert has always told me that when he has a horse that he really likes, he calls it that he's got the goods. And he's, this is a horse that he's always been very high on. It's a $3 million purchase. The son of Gun Runner. Before he was in the juvenile, the Ted Nalfie one, he was a grade 1 winner in the Del Mar Futurity. So, I'm very interested to see where Brant lands and Litmus Test. I would assume that Litmus Test isn't going to face a huge field in California. Maybe Brant will face more at the Rebel. But both look to me like they have some talent.
Yeah, Brant, a $3 million purchase. And again, is already a grade 1 winner. Looking forward to those 2 coming back. And one more 3-year-old I wanted to hit on. Number 10 on the overall list. You have him at number 6, and I just mentioned him a moment ago, Napoleon Solo, who comes out of a win in the Champagne. And it was interesting. Chad Summers, who's been on a roll the past few months, but trains this one for Al Gold and Gold Square Racing. As the name would indicate, the man from Uncle Napoleon Solo. Al Gold names a lot of those after television characters. But this was a pretty good performance, and they immediately came out of this and said, well, we want to run it for next year, so we're not going to the Breeders' Cup this year. Again, I had a nice workout just yesterday, as reported by Mike Welch in the Daily Racing Form. I guess they're going to cross-enter Fountain of Youth and Gotham. Fountain of Youth will be the first choice, but they'll see what they get, field size-wise and post position. But I'm looking forward to the return of Napoleon Solo.
Well, so am I. He won the Champagne by 6.5.
Yeah.
He broke his maiden at Saratoga by 5. And then, I remember talking to Chad and Al in the paddock at Saratoga one morning, and they were talking about how high they were on this horse. And, and this was after the maiden breaker. And they were saying even then that, the plan was a Champagne and then shoved it down and aimed for the Triple Crown. I know that the Gotham one might be appealing because it's a 1-turn mile, but he's in Florida. I would assume he'd probably stay home, run the Fountain of Youth. I mean, he's one of those horses that a lot of people would be very interested to see what he does after what he did last year as a 2-year-old. Is he able to bring that form in as a 3-year-old and improve, or if that's the case, he could be really scary.
Yeah, as I say, I'm looking forward to him, and I just thought the whole scenario was interesting, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna skip, wait till next year, and so again, the game plan. Hopefully, I'm hoping, because we'll be down there. I'm hoping we get the Fountain of Youth start for him, and the Fountain of Youth shaping to be very nice, and so looking forward to that next week. And again, we will be live. All right, let's shift our attention. Again, there's 2 polls this time of year leading into and through the Triple Crown. There's a 3-year-old poll. But all year long, there is the overall thoroughbred poll. And again, same situation. I have a graphic with the overall poll results and your ballot. Sovereignty on top of yours and on top overall. No shock there. And you can see, again, the first place vote, 16-14, Forever Young, a close-up second after the win in Saudi last week. But notable, and we talked about it before we went on the air, you haven't put Forever Young on your list. And as I looked at that, I thought, you know what? I wonder if Tim's thinking, how often are we going to see Forever Young? I don't think his being a runner in this country this year is a sure thing at all. And if it is, it's going to be Breeders' Cup time. And so I kind of get it sitting on the sidelines a little bit with Forever Young. But we're going to take a look at the Saudi Cup stretch run, and it will be a nice performance by Forever Young for sure, but a nice performance running second by Nisos, and Nisos is on your list, and obviously also on the overall list as well, sitting at number 3. Talk about your takeaway from the Saudi Cup and leaving Forever Young off.
Well, there is no doubt that Forever Young is, without question, one of the best racehorses in the world. It's not the best racehorse. But that being said, I think this NTRA poll is, for the most part, supposed to be for the horses that are based and run in the United States.
Yeah.
And if Forever Young's not going to run in the United States, why should he be included in this? It's like there's a lot of horses all over the world that are really good that aren't even listed. There's that horse in Hong Kong named Tajin that's won 18 starts in a row. He's the top sprinter in the world. Doesn't get a sniff in this. He's going for his 18th straight win next week or this weekend, I think. But for me, if you're going to be in the NTRA poll, you've got to run in the United States for the majority of your season. I put Nisos in because, he ran good. He had a great second in the Saudi Cup, but, he's going to be based for the most part over here. He's going to race here. So that's why I'm putting him in there. And there's, of the 33 voters, there were 7 voters that didn't include Forever Young at all. I wasn't the only one. So there's other people that are thinking the same way that I am. And, it's not a knock on Forever Young. I mean, I'm a Forever Young fan. I think he's marvelous. But, if you're going to be included in the poll in the U.S., you got to run in the U.S., if you ask me. That's why, I put Sovereignty on top because, and that's another thing. Of my, 3 of my top 4 Sovereignty journalism and by they haven't even run yet. It's all based on reputation of what they did last year and assuming that they're going to become, have the same kind of years they did last year. They're getting their votes based on what they did last year.
Yeah.
But, I just can't pull the trigger on Forever Young. And if, people think I'm wrong, that's too bad. That's what I think. Everyone's got their own opinion, and that's mine.
Well, I'm in the same category with you when it comes to Eclipse votes. I didn't have Forever Young. And you and I were talking before we went on the air. Can't argue, even just older male, I get why my people vote. They have a different opinion of that. But I like to see at least a couple of starts over here for, the Eclipse Awards to me are an award for American horses. And so,
Right,
if a European comes over and wins one, they've had a nice career, hopefully, over in Europe, and they're up for their awards. And I said the ironic thing was Forever Young won the Japanese Horse of the Year. He only started in Japan once this year or last year. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, a great horse. But I'm kind of right along the same boat there. Did want to mention also you had Baeza on your list at number 4. How about Baeza? And again, boy, the past couple of weeks, I will say the passing of King Leatherbury didn't get as much news as I thought it maybe deserved. John Sheriff certainly did. And both really great horsemen who had a big impact on the game. And so the passing of both John Sheriffs and King Leatherbury, sad notes. And I was surprised at how King Leatherbury was over 90. I was surprised that John Sheriffs was 80 years old. He was up here in Saratoga last year. I interviewed him with Baeza. So I was kind of shocked at his age. But it was interesting. Baeza has now been moved into the barn of Bill Mott.
Yeah. And that's, it'll be really interesting how that plays out. Baeza and Sovereignty in the same barn is, it's a scary proposition, isn't it? For, if you look at anybody else, any other barn that has the same kind of 1-2 punch, I think the only thing that might be close, and it's not that close, is Nice Dose and Nevada Beach for Baffert's barn for the older horses. With Baeza, I had a lot of conversations with John Sheriff. I dealt with him up in Saratoga, obviously. I dealt with him at Parks for the Pennsylvania Derby when he had his breakout win, and I talked with John his length out at Del Mar. And, it's such a sad passing because, he was in good health. It wasn't like he was sick. It's just, this came out of left field and just blindsided everybody. And if you spent time with John Sheriff, you walked away always smiling because he was such a good guy. He would talk to you about anything. We had conversations, Seth, about walks in the park. We had conversations about our iPhones. We had conversations about groundhogs, for God's sake. And, but he talked about Baeza like he was glowing about him, thinking that as a 4-year-old, he was really going to come into his own. And it's sad that he won't get to see it. But it'll be interesting to see how Bill Mott plays it. I know one thing, we probably won't see him, I wouldn't think, at Saratoga in the summer meet because the ownership group says that Baeza is going to run in the Pacific Classic. That's what they're based out there, and that's what they want to run in. So we probably wouldn't see him in the Whitney or the Jockey Club Gold Cup if that's the route they take. But eventually, maybe the Breeders' Cup Classic, maybe it won't be till then that they step onto the track in the same for Bill Mott. And that's Bill Mott's going to do a great job with him because Bill Mott's probably one of the best trainers we've ever seen.
And I agree. Bill Mott, a top trainer, so it makes it. But it was funny to see him go in the barn of his arch rival. But there will be plenty of opportunities for them to run separately, and so it's going to be fun to see how that all plays out. Pulled up a replay of another horse you have on your top 10 list, sitting at number 7, Nitrogen. Nitrogen on the overall list, the NTRA had the actual poll, was number 6. On your list, number 7. But we're going to watch the win of Nitrogen in the Bayakoa down at Oaklawn. And to me, Nitrogen is now very interesting because I wonder if she's going to pick up the mantle for Torpedo Anna and kind of become a fan favorite. And, of course, Mark Casse trains up at Saratoga, so I would expect Nitrogen will return to Saratoga. And as I say, I'm going to be curious to see if she kind of becomes this year's Torpedo Anna.
Well, Mark is very, very, very high on Nitrogen. Last year's 3-year-old champion, Philly champion. She won the Bayakoa easily. I mean, she didn't beat much. And it was for a career debut. She did what she was supposed to do. She came out of the track. She did her job and went back home. There's going to be bigger fights for her to fight this year. It'll be interesting to see which way Mark goes with her. I mean, could she potentially run against the boys? I don't know. Mark's never been one to shy away from a challenge, just like Kenny McPeak. I mean, I don't know if she's got the popularity that Torpedo Anna had, or even other fillies that have been in Kenny's care, have become fan favorites over the years. But Nitrogen is just a serious racehorse. He's done it on the grass and she's done it on the dirt.
Yeah.
Um, I think it'll be really interesting to see. Cause is the older filly division, is it that tough? Is it as tough as it was last year? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. So maybe it would be a great thing for the game, I think, if Mark decided that at some point down the road we see her run against the boys, because she's special. She's got talent, and she's. I mean, who knows what she's going to do with a 4-year-old? She was pretty darn good at 3, winning 6 and 9.
Yeah, and I had Mark on a couple of weeks ago leading into this, and he was, obviously with the situation, the weather, as we talked about, the weather down at Oaklawn left some workouts on the table, perhaps, and he was maybe a little bit concerned about that. But if that's a performance with a little bit of concern, that was pretty good. So she's going to be fun to watch this year. One more you have on your list that I think just has had kind of a fun and quirky career. Bookham Dano, you have down in the 9th spot, and looks like they're going to maybe and 9th overall on the poll as well. So everybody voting thought this one had a little bit of interest as well. But looks like they're going to kick off the season maybe in Dubai with that one. And they've really kind of picked some funny spots. They went a couple of years ago. They ran second in the Saudi Derby off a start at Tampa. So Bookham Dano has been an interesting horse to watch, certainly, including that great season up at Saratoga last year.
Well, he won 3 stakes in Saratoga last year. I mean, a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. I mean, how often does that happen? I mean, Seth, he's another of those horses that, because of his name, he's popular. The Bookham Dano is from the old Hawaii 5-0 show that people might remember. I'm sure you do.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's Derek Ryan, the trainer. After he won the 4 last year, he came right out and said that he had no interest in going to the Breeders' Cup, and it wasn't like he just didn't want to run. He just didn't want to go out to California. And some people, kind of got on him for that, saying that he's ducking a challenge. But he knows his horse, and he's doing what he thought was right for the horse. He wants to have this horse, for a 5-year-old campaign. So, who's to question him? I mean, the horse shows up every time, and I think that sprinters don't get the credit sometimes that they often deserve, and he's one of them. And I'm glad that he got his spot on the poll. But again, polls don't mean anything. They mean nothing.
10 wins and 16 starts, just under $2 million. And I agree, it's kind of fun to have him included because, again, you're right about the polls, but these are horses that maybe are fun to kind of keep our eyes on and watch. And that's what it's all about, kind of a conversation starter. And the conversation on Bookham Dano will be fun again this year, certainly.
The thing too with
in Dubai.
The thing too with the polls, they don't mean anything, but if it gets people talking about horse racing, it's fine.
And that is, I think, the game. Well, with these Derby polls as well. I mean, particularly if folks put out a top 10 or top 20 in January. I'm always curious to go back and pull those up and see how many horses make it into the starting gate the first Saturday in May.
Right.
But it does. It starts the conversation. It gets people thinking, and hopefully it gets people thinking, I'm interested in this horse this coming Saturday, and then jump up and walk up to the windows and maybe put a couple of dollars on a horse. And so it'll be fun to see how this all plays out over the next few months as far as the 3-year-old poll, but over the next quite a while on the older poll. And as we get into Saratoga, how many of these horses that are on in February are still on as we get into August. So it's fun. It's, again, a little conversation starter, and just wanted to pick your brain a little bit and set things up as we're, as I say, close to 2 months into the year at this point. Tim, always appreciate the conversation, and we will talk again in the future.
Sounds good, Seth. Have a great trip to Florida. Get a tan.
I got the lotion, so I'm ready for it. Tim, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Seth.
All right, we're going to head to a break, and when we come back, just talk a little bit about it. Boy, it is a light weekend, admittedly. Usually you get into this, the Triple Crown season, the Trail to the Derby, and pretty much every week you're clicking off. And there is a Derby prep tonight, and there was one yesterday in Maidan that I don't know. We'll see if it plays into the actual Derby. But otherwise, it's kind of a light weekend, admittedly. But we'll come back and we'll point to some stakes this afternoon that may be a little bit interesting to pay attention to. So all of that when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park with great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI. Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Again, it's a late weekend, certainly on the Derby Trail. But again, yesterday at Maidan, there was a little stakes race that had some Derby points. And in fact, I think it was called the Road to the Kentucky Derby. But they were all foreign-based horses. I don't know whether we'll get anyone coming out of that to really be a player. Again, it was a points race, so walked away with some points. The race tonight at Turfway may be a little more productive. We'll see. Turfway is the John Battaglia tonight. Again, it is a points race. I thought Atfield for Tom Morley was interesting. This is a horse that had the career debut victory up at Saratoga that was very emotional, as Atfield is named after the late assistant in the Tom Morley barn. Won that debut, third in the Futurity, and then won the Central Park Stake in November. All of those were on turf, however, but that they elect to go to Turfway to try the synthetic is interesting for the seasonal debut. So Atfield, intriguing. Full Effort's going to take a lot of action. That's Brad Cox trainee, ran second in the Leonatus Stakes middle of January at Turfway and did it behind Street Beast. Street Beast is back in as well. So the 1-2 finishers in that previous stake down there. And on the nice full field of 12 with one AE. So field of 13 entered. And if the AE gets in, Mike McCarthy trained Small Town. That one could be interesting. Although the post position will be obviously an obstacle going the two turns. But as I say, the synthetic trail at Turfway, the last, 5 or 10 years maybe, has made some noise on the Triple Crown Trail and beyond, but I think this is a field that could do that as well tonight at Turfway. But there's some other stakes today that will be interesting to pay a little bit of attention to, and one of those at Gulfstream is the Gulfstream Park Sprint. Field of 8 is entered, and Damon's Mound being one of those. Damon's Mound, a nice stakes quality runner throughout the career. Most recently for Bill Mott, but had been in another barn earlier in the career. Comes out of a bullet work at Payson for Bill Mott, and comes out of, on the racetrack, a state-bred stakes race victory middle of December, the Sunshine Sprint. That was a pretty solid win. Numbers okay. I don't think the number stands out in this bunch, however, but Damon's Mound will be interesting. Beeline for Riley Mott comes in of a nice little third-place finish over at Tampa that could have that one set up to run well. Jack's Promise is interesting for Dale Romans. Comes out of a win in an optional claimer that was a pretty gutsy front end win. Rajiv Merrow was on board that day, back on board again today. Man, he had a funny ride yesterday. I don't know if you were watching, but even Pete Aiello was like, man, he's quarter horsing this. He had a horse he desperately wanted to get to the front, did, and then the horse in the stretch just didn't have a hole. It was a funny looking ride, but Rajiv on board Jack's Promise this afternoon, again, in what looks like fun little field of 8 in here in the Gulfstream Park Sprint. A couple of interesting stakes over at Laurel this afternoon. Now, there's only a field of 5 entered in the wide country, so I don't know how interesting that will wind up to be. But 3-year-old fillies and 3-year-old boys squaring off this afternoon at Laurel in the wide country, 7 furlongs for the girls. And Strike a Rose is a little bit interesting, coming in from New York for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Nice debut victory back on January 23rd. Raylu Gutierrez is scheduled to go down for the ride. Horse to beat's going to be Peach Tie, though, for Brittany Russell, coming in off a couple of wins, including a stakes win last time in the Gin Talking at the end of December. Bullet workout over at her Fair Hill facility. And this is one that has had a couple of starts most recently at Laurel, optional claimer, and then the Gin Talking. But it started the career Colonial Presque Isle and was in the Presque Isle debutante off a career debut victory at Colonial, and then went to Keeneland to try Allowance Company and won that. So this is a horse, 4 wins and 5 career starts. Again, a Brittany Russell trainee. She's based down in the Mid-Atlantic at Laurel, and the last 2 starts have been at Laurel. But given what we've seen earlier in the career, Peach Tie is going to be one to watch, maybe going against a little bit of open company as well. Excuse me. 8th race today at Laurel. Again, for the 3-year-old boys in the Miracle Wood, going a mile. Another fun field in here. Balboa for Brittany Russell, going to take some action, obviously, having run second most recently in the Jerome. Did that behind My World, and My World was a little bit disappointing in the Saudi Derby, coming in off the win, the 2 stakes wins in New York. So I'm not sure Balboa was flattered by that, but in the race just before the second in the Jerome, was 3rd in the Remsen, behind Paladin and Renegade. So those 2 have gone on to flatter Balboa. So Balboa will be interesting today. Close the Gate, I think, is an intriguing player as well. Lately raced. First 2 starts of the career, maiden claimers. Second in debut, nice win in the second start. But again, they were both for a tag. Third start, they move into a $100,000 stakes race after having broke the maiden for a tag and just missed. We're in a good second in there. So Close the Gate gets a chance to kind of continue to validate maybe a little talent. Brittany Russell has Taj Mahal as well. Second-time starter off a career debut victory. That was a pretty good-looking effort also. So, again, a couple of kind of fun and interesting in their own way 3-year-old stakes at Laurel this afternoon on what is, again, fairly light stakes afternoon overall, but some good racing nonetheless across the country. And we will cover much or most of it on Capital OTB TV this afternoon. I'll be in for OTB Live in probably about an hour or so. Again, in New York, I think we're a little bit later with the post times, with the sunset now a little bit later. Aqueduct's at 1:10. Oaklawn. I'm going to look at some Oaklawn today as well. They have a 12:30 local post, so they'll be 1:30. But I think Gulfstream is their typical, 12:20 or whatever. So we'll, as I say, be back a little over an hour or so for that. Take one more quick break. We'll come back and wrap things up on this Saturday morning. So stay tuned. Racing Across America continues.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's racetrack industry program is your winning ticket. The racetrack industry program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the racetrack industry program can put you in the winner's circle.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us, hunkering down, I hope, and keeping warm and dry after, again, another cold, snowy day. The drive home yesterday was a little bit sloppy, and I think we're supposed to kind of, up in this area, get a little snow off and on over the next couple of days. But I will be looking forward to hopping on a jet plane on Wednesday, head down to Florida. We'll be running around taping some interviews and whatnot on Thursday, and then we will be live from Gulfstream Park. Typically, we're sitting on, and that'll be the game plan again this year, sitting on their set down in the paddock, starting at 8:30 on Friday. We'll have a little handicapper support, little Racing Across America Friday morning, kicking off at 8:30, and Saturday, kicking off at 8 a.m. Again, live from Gulfstream Park. Fountain of Youth coverage coming up. Excuse me. We will also today here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Actually, let me change that here today at the Hudson branch. It's a fan appreciation day. Food, vouchers, contest. You can win a little extra something, a little extra dough down at the Hudson branch. Gives us our chance to say thank you to you for your patronage. So if you are a patron down there, stop by and enjoy Fan Appreciation Day today at the Hudson branch. Clubhouse Racebook tomorrow, we have a player's bankroll. So come on down, a little extra fun tomorrow afternoon right here, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. Again, we'll be back this afternoon. I'm going to take a look at a little aqueduct, a little oak lawn, but we'll have plenty more in the mix on this Saturday afternoon as well. Should be a fun day. So hopefully you're looking forward to it. I am. Appreciate your tuning in for Racing Across America this morning. Back again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So enjoy the afternoon. We'll see you in a few.
Here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
Ruiz and Dialythic to the backstretch. She's tugging with a 2-length lead and a 24-3 opening quarter. Norman Hito is now second, 2.5 clear pass.